This is the way, I guess. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of ZETAS Prevails. I'm going to talk about how to play a Beskar Mando or a BAM team. It's the team with the extra shiny Bandalorian. So, and his trusty companions, IG-11 and Kuiil, who are apparently still trusty, despite the fact that, I guess they hung out with him when he was in that armor, but they didn't hang out with him for long, if you know what I mean. But you can see that I've X'd out the faces of Grief and Kara. Kara's fine-ish with him, but she's not going to be the best. So what we're going to do in this guide, folks, it's not going to be the super most advanced guide out there, just because even though this team can do a lot of cool stuff, we're not going to cover how to kill Maul, because it's going to be another video. We're not going to cover that they can actually, on sometimes with like Han and Chewie, they can take out Jedi Master Luke teams. I haven't perfected those things. I don't have videos for them yet, and they're frankly too advanced. Like, we're just trying to, this is Faction Essentials video, and we're just trying to explain how the team works. So like all the mechanics and everything, how to put, which Zetas to put on, what mods to put on, and then some pretty basic uses on offense and defenses, what characters we can use them with, etc. And, just explain this team, and then we'll get into more advanced stuff later on this channel. So yeah, but we're gonna go talk about modding first, and then we'll show you, modding and mechanics, I should say, and then I'll show you some video clips. I even have one of them taking down a Jedi Knight Revan team, but it's from them on defense, the perspective of them on defense. So kind of interesting stuff. That being said, if you want to support this channel for free, just want to remind you guys, hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment in the comment area, something like that. We're mounting the algorithm. We got to do it, guys. I need your help. You're my only hope. So let's get into it, shall we? Whoa, we're in the game. How'd we get in the game? Madness. I haven't done that one for a long time. That's like a week. I hope you guys enjoyed your respite, for those of you who hate it when I do that. So we've got this is the team that I like the best. We've got Beskar Mando here with the IG and Kuiil, and then I like Veteran Han and Nest, but there's a pretty strong distinction here, guys. So Beskar Mando, Kuiil, and IG, that's like the triumvirate. That's the trio. You need all three of them on the team, and then the other two you can kind of swap out depending on availability and what you want to do with the team. So I've got this whole list of characters that you guys could potentially add to the team, but it's yeah, at its core, it's going to be Bando with IG and Kuiil. So let's talk about Bando first. And, I call him Bando. You can also call him Bam. And, okay, so, man, where to even begin? He's got a lot of things going on. So, obviously, he's a leader. His leadership is interesting because you can actually give your whole team a ton of turn meter, way more than you think. Like, if you do Whistling Birds, for instance, that hits that if an enemy takes damage, if you do Whistling Birds, you have 20 stacks and hit people. Your whole team is actually going to gain 40% turn meter once he does that. He also gives a moderate amount of offense and max health boost and stuff to Scoundrels. It's an okay leadership. I think the turn meter thing is underrated. People don't understand just how strong it is. So essentially how he works, you give him this thing. I mean, you want to use his Whistling Birds, okay? And a lot of people, he's been derided because the people say that he doesn't do much damage with his Whistling Birds, and I get it. I mean, it can feel underwhelming, but what you have to realize is it's got so many cool potential things, and if you mod him right, he's not going to do a small amount of damage. So first off, with his Whistling Birds, once he finally gets it, he can ignore taunt, and he can ignore his he can ignore stealth as well, which is, he's the only character who ignores stealth entirely with a targeted attack. It's pretty fancy. He's also a very good pilot. So if you can get him to relicate, I know that not everyone has the ability to get him there. My alt can't get him there. He's relic 5, but 8 is like his perfect one, because if you get him to 9, you're not going to get much boost anyways. The only stats he really cares about, I mean, his health is nice and all that, you know, but he doesn't care about crit chance. He cares about his damage, and he doesn't get much of a boost in damage. Like the previous relic level, his boost was like 700 before the mods took hold. Now, I mean, 300 damage, something like that, for a crazy expensive character. I don't think so, you know, for that upgrade. So anyways, everything about his team revolves around these whistling birds, and so that's what this ability is. So you do the disciplined setup, and this is what I call poop stance a lot of times. Like he kind of like hunches over and he starts prepping himself so he can get up to 20 stacks of whistling birds. And what happens is, so he goes into this, and once he's in this stance, then he's just like can't do anything. He can't assist, he can't help anything. But once he takes another turn, which he can be stunned while he's doing this, so you can have him there indefinitely in theory, though he does end up getting his turn pretty quick. Then he pulls the trigger and actually does this thing called the swift takedown. So it means the enemies defeated by it can't be revived, it can't be countered or evaded, and you can just do a lot of damage with it, frankly, a lot of damage, as long as you keep in mind all the different things. So the swift takedown, it also deals true damage, which means that he doesn't care about critting. I know that sometimes he'll hit someone with his knife, and you know, that can crit or whatever, but that he's not here, frankly, to hit people with his knife. He's here to actually just destroy entire teams and their hopes and their everythings with his whistling bird. So to that regard, guys, he is very mod hungry. He really wants a couple stats, and he wants a lot of them. So he wants as much speed as you can give him. He's kind of a slow character, but you can get him kind of fast-ish. I mean, that's not super fast, I realize, 276, but he needs to be the second fastest character on your team. So the faster you can get him, the more you can make the rest of your team kind of fast. You want everything offense, guys, because true damage doesn't care about crits. True damage ignores armor, but can't crit. So you know, armor and defense, I should say, anything like that. So on offense, arrow, as much speed as you can get. On offense, triangle, with as much speed as you can get. And obviously, I don't have the very best mods on him. I mean, you can't just give him the best, but I do have 6 A mods on him a lot. An offense, cross as well. You know, and a lot of like protection is nice on him, actually, like protection and defense and all that stuff. It's nice. Some tenacity is actually nice. His kit gives him an additional 40% tenacity. So if you wanted to put tenacity instead of health here, that's fine. I like him to be a little more survivable, frankly, and tenacity doesn't matter as much because IG-11 is going to cleanse him and stuff, so not as big of a deal. But as you can see, you know, some pretty good speed there, and he probably wants health more than protection, but it doesn't really matter on him. He just wants the speed, frankly. So you know, potency doesn't really do much for him. Well, you know what? Potency is nice a little bit to some degree, because when he does his whistling birds, not only does he do all that damage and do all that stuff, he also applies damage or healing immunity to everyone, and you want to be able to apply that. So, you know, potency is how you apply it. And then with this secondary, I mean, so you want the speed first, but the other secondary you want is offense on the triangle or on the diamond, and then, you know, obviously speed here as well. Make it fast. I can do better than what he's at, but he's fine. 276 speed, and his damage is at 11,728. You guys can beat that, I think. Well, some of you can't. Frankly, I know that my mods are good. Some people have way better mods than me, unfortunately. So, anyways, that's what he does. The other really important thing that he does, guys, is whenever someone on his team gets hurt, gets down to 75% of their max health, once they're down, like they lose all their protection, they're down health, they can use this Wonder of the Force ability. Like it immediately gives him a bonus turn, which makes him super fast sometimes. So if someone gets hurt, but they don't die, it's like they're not just like insta-killed or something, then he immediately takes a bonus turn and has this ability have all of its cooldowns reduced. So, you know, you can use it or not. You can actually just use it to go into his poop stance if you want. But you can make him and someone else on your team damage immune for 1 turn. And this could be really obnoxious on a lot of different teams, even if he's not the lead, if he's with a Maul team, for example. But that's, I mean, gosh, there's just so much stuff, guys. So he's immune to ability block. He gets extra potency and tenacity just for being fancy. You know, this is the thing I was just talking about. He can get the Wonder of the Force thing so that he's, you know, you're invulnerable. He does a lot of things. The main thing, though, guys, is a lot of speed and a lot of damage. Those 2 things are the most important for him, and that's probably universal on any team he's on. So let's talk about Kuiil just a little bit. So Kuiil, I always think he's on fire here. It looks like his shoulders just like spouting flames, but it's just a little like torch thing. I don't know. He's fun. So there's a lot of things going on with him. He wants to be fast though. He's going to be the thing that starts the whole team and their turn meter stuff rolling. So here's the part of it, guys. So he uses his special, and so it heals everyone, and then let's see, Scoundrel allies gain 25% turn meter from this, and then he can like revive droids and give stats to people and stuff. It's kind of cool. He's also a guy who buffs the whole team. So at the start of the battle, other droid and Scoundrel allies gain 40% of his max health and of his offense and potency, and they gained 40% of his max protection. So, you know, you make him super duper resilient, and everyone else gains 40% of that until he dies, and then, you know, and then they don't get it anymore, which is too bad. Too bad for them, and too bad for him, because he's dead. And then he has some cool stuff that goes on with IG. You get all this cool stats, and he can't be crit while he's with IG, so he's tough to kill. And so he's got that going on. He can set people on fire with his little burninating thing there. And he can stun them and shock them, put speed down on them, do all this cool stuff. It's pretty cool. Oh, dang it all. One thing I need to mention, guys. I wish that I had mentioned it earlier, but okay, so you get into poop stance with Bando, and then his teammates need to do damage. Every time you do damage, then you're going to actually give him more stacks. So, you know, he goes into swift takedown. Let's see, he gains 1 stack of whistling birds whenever an enemy takes damage, which means every time they get hit by anything that does damage, or like a damage effect, like they're on fire or something, they have damage over time. If they take damage at all, he gains 1 stack while he's in his poop stance, and then he lets his whistling birds go. So I apologize, I'm not going to rewind and insert that though, unfortunately. Okay, so Kuiil, the way you mod him, you want him to have lots and lots of health. That's the thing you really care about. So health on everything because of his interactions with IG. But then you also, on top of that, really, really want to have a lot of speed. In fact, you know, I would recommend, if you can, get him to like 342, 340 speed. And some people get him to 350 speed. I mean, you can get him really fast, because he also has some things where, he can go on a bounty hunter's team, for instance, and make all of them super fast. As long as he's the fastest on the team, then he'll give everyone 25% turn meter, and they'll all go before the rest of the team. So, because they're all scoundrels. But give him a lot of health, and then, some protection's fine as well. And then speed. Those are the stats you want. Health, protection, speed. And then, if you can you want offense as well, because you're stat sharing with your whole team. So, get a 6E mod for his square if you can, because he uses that offense. He uses this protection you can see as a secondary. Make him tanky, make him fast, and, that's basically it. Tanky and fast, and some offense if you can find it, some protection secondaries. That's great. Just because he's sharing all these stats, guys. Look at all those stats. 40% of his max health, offense, potency, and max protection. Fancy. Next up is IG-11, and IG-11 wants a lot of health. He wants to be slower than Bando, because what's going to happen is Kuiil's going to give everyone 25% turn meter, which means everyone's going to go. So Beskar's going to go first. He's got to be the fastest. Then you want their next 3 characters to all go before Bando takes another turn, and so they all do AoEs so that they hit at least 5 people, and they're able to help him get his whistling birds before he takes another turn and destroys, they'll get destroyed. So anyways, IG-11 has a lot of cool stuff. So he's a pre-taunt if he's with Kuiil. If he's not with Kuiil, then he doesn't get it. So typically you just need him there. So okay, at the start of the battle, he gains max protection equal to 20% of his max health. So if you give him as much max health as possible, he's also going to gain 20% of that on his protection. So that's pretty fancy. And then if Kuiil's there, then it's 40% instead. So, I mean, really, in general, you're going to just assume that you're using the Kuiil to 40%. So, let's see. So he assists whenever a droid or scoundrel ally attacks during an enemy turn. IG-11 assists. So if they do a counter, like so Nest, for instance, then he's going to assist. So if they hit Nest, for instance, and Nest counters, then you get a whistling bird onto Bando, and then IG-11's going to assist, and he's going to get a whistling bird onto Bando as well. So, Nest is really nice. A few different characters are for that reason. And then the other really nice thing about it is whenever he takes a turn, he just dispels all debuffs. So you stun the whole team with like a Jedi or something, and IG goes and dispels everyone. So super nice. He has his AoE. He has his nurse droid protocol, which, it heals people and stuff. And then for mods, you just give him all the health you can possibly handle, guys. All the health. And he's kind of naturally fast, so you can give him some faster mods. But really, the arrow can be health. This is a really nice mod, actually. But it has, protection and all that. I guess he's applying dots all the time, so it can be kind of nice also to make him able to apply some dots or whatever, get some potency, etc. But mostly just health, and make sure he's so my Bando is 276 and my IG is 272, so he's gonna go next, and then we get into the class 3 kind of players where you can kind of just mix and match what characters go with this team. So one thing I like about Veteran Han here is he's got an AoE. So all of these characters are going to have an AoE except for the final character that we're going to talk about. But you have Veteran Han, who has stun on the primary target, but then with his AoE, then he AoE ability blocks everyone. So that's pretty nice. And then he also hits back, he counters, and that means IG counters, so you get more stuff. He also has stagger, so that means that people can reset their own turn meter. If they shoot him, he shoots them back, and they get stagger, and then IG goes immediately afterward, after he triggers stagger on his basic, and IG is able to maybe hit that stagger again, I guess really. So yeah, he flicks stagger for 2 turns when he attacks again. So maybe IG doesn't actually trigger that stagger. We'd have to find out. But one way or another, Veteran Han is able to do that stuff. The AoE is the important part, though. And then Nest, of course, I just talked about it. She can counter, she can do her AoE, and then AoE doesn't miss, and it does some cool stuff. So, those are the 2 that I like the most. And then we're going to just go through these guys pretty dang quick. So Dengar has, the one cool thing is this team can be mixed and matched to be light or dark. It doesn't really matter. It's just scoundrels. So one of the things about him is he does his thermals. And when he does his thermals to throw, like he deals damage to all enemies. So it's an AoE. And then he deals damage 2 times to random enemies. So he is going to deal 7 whistling birds. He'll get 7 whistling birds to Bando, and then he also, with that, he also, inflicts tenacity down, and he puts damage over time on these characters, and the damage over time is super nice, because then when the opponent takes a turn and they have damage over time, then they'll take a small amount, and that you won't even notice how much damage it is, but that adds to the whistling bird count. You have Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan has some cool stuff. One of the things I like about her is it really messes with bounty hunters if she takes a turn, because she can get rid of the buff that Mando needs to disintegrate, because she has the dispel all buffs, and then she also dazes everyone. And so, you know, that's pretty nice. I like her on a Mandalorian team better, but she's pretty good here as well. If you want to stash her there, it can really mess with people. And then it can also, if Mandalorians are, you know, so she's also boosting the max protection on Mandalorians. That's unique. And then if they're attacking out of turn, which doesn't happen too much for Bando, I'm trying to even think of an instance where he does attack out of turn on this team, but you know, if they can heal, I guess she's fine here. I wouldn't. She's not the very best though. If you have a Mando team, that's fine. Zalbar is good here because he has his AoE. He does the armor shred, and then he also has retribution. So every time someone hits him, he hits them back and adds to the whistling bird contribution. And then, I mean, that's basically it. He's a tank-y character. You guys know what he does. You can read his kit. He's okay. Cara Dune. The thing I like about her, she has her AoE. It removes 50% turn meter, so it messes with your opponent's team. If they're Empire, then it's even worse. And then otherwise, I mean, she's fine. She does okay. I mean, she belongs probably with the Mothra team instead. But, you know, one thing you have to watch out for her, though, is she's really fast naturally. So I have her way scaled back just in case I want to use her with Bando. But this is like, she can be way faster, and it should be way faster if you're planning to use her with the Mothra team and you want her to take a prominent role in that. I use her with Mothra, but I just don't care about her speed, frankly. I have other strategies in mind. So, yeah, anyways, if you want to use her with Bam, just make sure she's slower. Dash Rendar is actually, if you don't have anyone else on his like prepared team ready, then he is actually crazy good with Bando, because he immediately gets all those stacks of whistling birds. Check out all these things. So it deals damage 3 times to all enemies. So that immediately gives Bando 15 stacks. And on top of that, he's a hot shot, so you know, he's unique. So even if he's not the lead, Scoundrel allies gain 20% max health and potency, which is nice. The whole team gets it, and 20% offense, which is super nice for an already really hard-hitting Bando. All right, we got a couple more characters, and then we'll show you guys some actual footage of how to use the team. You know, what I've done in the past at least. So IG-88, he's fine. He does okay. He can prevent people from healing and stuff. If he gets target lock, he does an AoE with his rapid fire thing. I mean, this is okay. It has a 50-50 chance, essentially, of inflicting ability block. And I don't know, it's okay. It's merely okay. This you could do better than him. And then you have Lando, which, you know, he's okay. He does his AoE, and then he can spam his AoE, so the more turns that he gets, he does his AoE, and that's it. I mean, it's okay. He's a scoundrel with an AoE. And then, finally, Ahsoka Tano, she's great with Bando if you don't have anywhere else to stash her, frankly. Like, she does a lot of cool stuff, so she gives the whole team extra offense. The critical damage doesn't do anything, really, but because they're scoundrels, they also gain 50% health and stuff, and all of these bonuses. If you're going to use her with Bando, you need her with, you know, she gives all these bonuses to light side allies, so she doesn't give them to, like, Dengar. Dengar is right out if that happens. So she's really nice with this team, obviously. The one thing you have to keep in mind, though, too, is she doesn't have an AoE, so she doesn't contribute to that aspect of his damage. But another 50% offense, like, I think that one of my favorite ideas, actually, for this team is putting Ahsoka and Dash with the like, Bando trio, and then Dash gives 20% offense, she gives another 50% offense, and then Dash just gives him all of those buffs. You know, he gives her not all those buffs, but all the whistling birds, and then you don't have to worry about her contribution to the whistling birds. So that's actually something I'm looking to try on my alt. Cat should generally be with the Galactic Legend if you have one, but if you don't have one that is really good with her, then she can work pretty well with a BAM team. So let's go to the videos now, guys. Whoa, why are we doing this? This is pure madness. Hold on. Ho ho ho, okay, I figured it out, folks. Yay. Alright, so first we're gonna go against crew here. And, alright, so Kuiil goes first, and he's gonna give everyone that extra turn meter. So, that means that the rest of your team is gonna go. So now Bando goes next. He goes into his poop stance. As you can see, he's got 5 stacks of Whistling Birds. Then IG does his AoE, and he suddenly has 10. Nest goes, there's 15. Dengar goes, there's 20. And now we just wait for Mando to get a turn. And so we're targeting OG Kylo just because he's annoying, and take him out. You can see that there's all these debuffs on everyone. And yeah, I mean, it's over, guys. That's how you set it up. If you can go first with Kuiil, then you can just wipe entire teams out. That wasn't a small amount of damage, frankly. So let's go to them against Night Sisters. Night Sisters that are really good natural counter as well. If I can actually find the right button here. So once again, you go first with Kuiil. Give everyone turn meter. Go into your stance. Do the AoE. Now note that we're only getting 9 Whistling Bird stacks because we weren't able to get, we were like spirit dodged, so we didn't do damage. Bo-Katan goes, puts daze on Night Sisters. Bo-Katan's pretty good against Night Sisters because they hate that daze. Daze really messes with them. And then, I mean, we're at 19 here. So they hit Nest, and Nest hits them back. We're at 20 now, you know, on IG. IG didn't even have to assist there. And then we got the Whistling Birds, and it just deletes the whole team. And then, you know, it goes on for a little bit. But, I mean, I guess you can see, so he's using the child's ability, whatever it's called, you know, to go into healing immunity. And, you know, I guess I skip forward in this fight because it takes a while to finally get leverage. Remember, guys, it's harder and harder to get 20 stacks of Whistling Birds out there when you only have a couple opponents. Like, if you only have a couple characters you're working on, then you're only dealing damage to the couple characters, not to the full 5-man team that you had been fighting. So, just something to keep in mind. Let's go to how we used against. So this is a really weird situation. Like, against BB-8, General Grievous, this isn't the very best thing, but I was fairly desperate one day. This works a lot better against Grievous teams that you can go before. Like, you can just delete delete Grievous before he even takes a turn. But BB-8, of course, changes that, makes it so that you go a lot. And so I practice this in Arena a lot. And the thing is, Gideon is an okay 5th member, so he doesn't add to the, I guess he kind of adds to Whistling Birds a little bit, but the thing is, he reduces all that turn meter and stuff, and then he also reduces the offense, you know, it reduces their offense by 50%. That doesn't reduce any damage by Grievous, but it does reduce damage by the rest of them, including B1, who's constantly hitting you. So, you know, Grief, he probably should have done his special there to armor shred BB-8, but, you know. Okay, so we're in the stance, and now we're going to start generating our Whistling Birds as quickly as we can. And, you know, so Grievous right now, if we took a turn right now, we could actually still target Grievous, even though Grievous is in stealth. So I kind of wish we had been able to show that, but we're at 20 Whistling Birds here, and, you know, can we take a turn? They keep reducing our turn meter. It's not a joyous occasion. Now, there used to be a bug where you could get more than 20 stacks of Whistling Birds. Didn't quite kill Grievous, but there we go. Nest went in and did it. And then it's just clean up after that. Now, we have one more that I'm going to show you guys. And, you know, it's Jedi Revan attacking a Beskar team with Zalbar and Nest. So, this is pretty interesting stuff. This isn't footage from me. This is footage that I'm stealing from my buddy Solo Base. But I just wanted to show you guys. So here we are. You know, Jedi Revan is attacking them. And this is against a full, like, Relic 7, Relic 8 Bando team. This is a really high level team. So you can see Jedi Revan's going to mark Bando. Well, I guess he just called. I don't know why he didn't just mark Bando there. Not sure what happened. Maybe he didn't want to get rid of that mark, but one way or another. So uses a basic to dispel Zalbar. There's 16 Whistling Birds, so you can stun Bando here if you want to. I think you probably should have. You mark Bando. But then everyone's stunned and they are dazed and they can't actually assist. So, you know, you keep going on Bando, and Jolie tries to kill him. Didn't work. Get up to 18 stacks, up to 20 stacks, and then Revan gets deleted. And that's basically it, guys. I mean, we can kind of fast forward just a little bit here. Oh, that's a little too far forward. My bad. At the end of the day, though, I mean, it's a loss. There. Yeah, you see, Jedi Luke just squaring off against everyone. So, yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for the examples. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's helpful. I know that not everyone can get Bando, but it's something you should be planning because he's a good pilot. He's a good team. Good on defense, good on offense, and it works really nicely. So, one way or another, I'm going to call it good. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Zareth prevails.